Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Dutchy Gaming, and a new video on the channel, testing out farming Maven invitations through map bosses. It's not something I've done before. Whenever I've done a mapping strategy, it's either utilized Ether nodes here, or the exarch altars here, along with the extra nodes for altars and invitations, because they're nice consistent profit, and especially this league, exarch altars with the fact that you can drop awakened sextants that are worth a lot of currency, they're just a really good way to guarantee money each map. But Maven writs are quite expensive. They're sort of 1.3, 1.4 divines each. With the node here that gives you 10% chance to count towards an extra boss, then essentially you're going to get a Maven invitation every 45 maps. So in terms of currency, it works out about even for the invitation because of the amount of maps extra that you have to run over exarch. What I'm really interested in is seeing if we can get invitations to drop, because they are also worth quite a bit of currency. Also going to take the Conqueror map nodes here because, again, Conqueror maps are worth quite a bit of currency. So there's quite a few small nodes here that add 8% chance, increased chance to get a invitation to drop. However, we don't know what the base chance is, so we have no idea what this increased chance means. And it could just be that you get the 10 map invitation to drop, which are about 1 to 2 chaos and not really worth any currency. But I kind of was a bit bored of the altar farm and I just wanted to test a strategy out. We're going to have to do a fair few maps to understand whether these things really do anything and whether it's worth it. So I'll do as many maps as I basically can until I get bored of the strategy. But stuck in with this, we want to make sure we're making guaranteed currency. So all we're going to be using is one scarab, which is going to be an expedition scarab. And that's only because I didn't have the nodes to get the last few expedition chance that I need here. And even the polished scarabs are like less than 2C each. So we may as well just chuck one in every map to guarantee expedition. And then we're just going for more Danig and more Tusion. We're going harvest and trying to remove as much purple and blue plants as we can, because yellow is where the money is. And then we're going essences. So even if we don't get any invitations drop and we just get the Maven writ at the end of all our invitations, we're still going to make a nice amount of currency on the way. The other thing about this strategy that I wanted to do is I wanted it to be accessible to most builds. Now, because I normally historically run very quick characters, whether that be a Raider, a Deadeye, I want something with Onslaught, Tailwind, extra movement speed. I want to be flying through maps, clearing them really quickly. But not everyone's characters can do that. And a lot of my mapping strategies rely on the character being quick because it relies you getting in and out of a map in, 1.5 to 2 minutes. Now, with this strategy, the quicker you can do maps, the more money you're going to make because the more Maven writs you're going to turn over and the more invitations you're going to be able to do. But the actual mechanics within it don't really rely on speed. You've got expedition, where you have to wait for the mobs to spawn anyway, and harvest, again, where you have to wait for them to spawn. You don't really need any sort of movement speed or clear speed really outside of normal builds to really utilize the best out of these mechanics and get yourself making a lot of currency. So I'm going to do at least 40 to 50 maps, hopefully up to 100. We'll then go and look at all the loot that we've got. Also, roughly how long it took to do each map, because that's important. Because we're going to be getting expedition in every map, harvest probably every 1 in 2. It is going to take time to do these maps, but because we're not doing altars, we don't have to hang around in a map for any longer than needed. And because we need 10 different map bosses, we don't really need to worry about map sustain because you'll just use any of the maps that you've got lying around. So if, for example, we go into the first map, we get a harvest straight away, and then we get an expedition, we can then just beeline to the boss, kill it, leave, and go into the next map. Which is why it's kind of important that you select a map layout that's easy to clear. So you don't want something that's got lots and lots of side passages or loads of different floors, because then you might be hunting around to see if there's a harvest. So things like Strand work perfectly because they're linear, but even things like Lair, again, is quite linear. Crimson Temple, quite easy to clear. Beach, City Square, there's tons of good layouts that work. And although we optimally would like an open layout for expedition, it doesn't matter. We're more bothered that the boss is in a place where we know he's going to be, and that we can easily check if there's a harvest and an expedition, so we can make the map clears quick. And you don't need to full clear. You don't even need to clear any more of the map than doing your expedition, your harvest, and your boss. So with that out of the way, I'm going to jump in and do a few maps. There'll be some highlights along the way, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the strategy as a whole, what sort of currency it made, and whether I think it's worthwhile doing if you just want a break from altar farming. So this is a bit juicy because we've got monsters always crit, so this it's potential for death, but it was one that juiced up quite nicely, so we couldn't really not do it. As you see, we've had tons of drops in this one so far. a load of drops from this so far. This is a very nice one. This dude doesn't look like he wants to die, though. Finally. Yeah, that was very nice. Absolutely loads of exotic coins and a logbook. Doesn't really help with the mapping strategy in terms of knowing whether it's profitable or not, because this is just expedition, and obviously what we want to really test is invitation drops. So we've had our second lot of 10 bosses cleared up. So we're going to do another invitation. So all I'm doing on these is making sure there's 70 plus quant. I don't know what the limit is to make sure you get 2 splinters, and I don't want to risk trying to lower one just in case. And obviously the more quant, the more items you're going to get. Like you can get guardian maps, things like that, decent items to drop. There's a very small chance of bad awakened gems. I don't know what the drop rate is and whether any of them are good. I guess we'll find out as we go through. So we'll do our next one. This one's slightly dangerous in that we can't leech and we've got enfeeble and less aura effect. But these so far in my playthrough, they've been really, really easy. So hopefully we don't die. But I'm level 99 anyway, and I don't plan on getting to 100 with the content that I want to do on this build. So if we die, we die. It doesn't really matter too much. The issue with this is I can't actually see anything here, so we'll just assume that we're hitting things every now and again. Okay, so we did get a Guardian map. It's a Minotaur one, unfortunately. We also got an Elder Guardian map and the second Elder Guardian map. So that was pretty decent. We got our 2 splinters, got a couple of currencies, and we got 3 Guardian maps. That was pretty good return. Now we've got another T4 seed, but Ashabi keys seem to be very elusive. Oh, it says that. We got one. I'd say an elusive Sacred Blossom adds nicely to the loot pool. So we quickly through to our next invitation. It's actually really quick once you get into the pattern of what you need to do. And that is expedition, look for harvest, kill the boss, get out. It's really, really quick once you get used to it. Some maps are obviously longer than others when you get harvest and you get expedition. And then you have to go and kill the boss. But on ones, for example, where there's no harvest and the expedition is Gwenin, you just straight to the boss, kill it, get out. Overall, the maps have been quicker than I expected. Rolled 81% quant on this invitation. So we'll go and do our third invitation. Now, I'm hoping we get a couple of Guardian maps again. That'd be really nice. Again, I can't really see what's going on once your Vile Lightning Strike fills the screen. It seems to be fairly comfortable though, so... Yeah, this time we did. That looks like a Conqueror map. It's not. It's Guardian map. 1 Crescent Splinter. That sucks. That kind of puts a spanner in. Well, it's 81% con that was. You get 1 Splinter. That sucks. I don't really understand why you get 1. I would think that should be fixed. Obviously, it's not. That's kind of annoying. I was thinking it was going to be guaranteed 2 Splinters and invitation. 1 puts a bit of a spanner in the works. Like, yes, we got a Guardian map drop, but just getting 1 Crescent Splinter makes this strategy quite annoying. So we have our last Maven invitation now to run to get a full writ. And because it diddled us a little bit and gave us 1 splinter on one of the invitations, it's taken 55 maps to get what's going to be a Maven writ. which is a bit stupid considering we could have done 2 full exarch rotations, had 2 invitations, which are worth more than a Maven invitation. We've had some okay loot, which we'll go over at the end of the video, but it's definitely not been worthwhile. But it has been a nice change of pace. It's not something I've done before. The invitations break up mapping. Because you're looking for 10 different bosses, you obviously run different maps. So it has been enjoyable. The loot is definitely not worth doing in terms of a farming strat if loot is all you care about. But if you want a break from buying loads of mapping materials and just grinding the same map over and over again, this has been quite good. It's just a expedition scarab in the map device, and that's it. You're chiseling out your map and you go. Can hear lots of noise. We got, oh, another Conqueror map. That's nice. Orb of Unmaking, and then the 2 splinters that we needed. So we'll go and dump the loot. We'll tally it up, and then we'll come back and we'll have a look. So it's 55 maps. So bear in mind, some of them are really quick when you don't get much of the content in, but some of them might take, 4 to 5 minutes if you get Expedition and Harvest, and then you go and kill the boss. It can take a little while. So I think per hour is probably not a very good return, but let's go and have a look at what is per map. Okay, so we've put the loot into our stash and put it through Excellence Next, but there's lots of stuff it doesn't really account for. So all of the logbooks will have to price individually. Same with the invitations, along with most of the maps we're going to have to add on as well. Overall, I don't think it was really worth it. A lot of the loot has come from Expedition, which you can do with whichever influence you want to put on there. Same with Harvest, lots of Life Force, fairly decent amount of essences. Essentially, this stuff here is what came from the invitation farming. And like I said, it took 55 maps, which is very, very close to 2 full Syrian Exarch runs, and you would get 2 invitations, which is worth more than 1 Maven's Writ. So if we go into Excellence Next, we'll just have a look at what it values the stuff at that it can price up. And it is 2,134 Chaos, which for 55 maps is not amazing. If we go into Excel, where I've just input the stuff that it doesn't account for, so there was just under a Divine's worth of boss maps, over a Divine's worth of logbooks, Twisted Invitation for 70C. So the total ended up at 2,664 Chaos over 55 maps. So per map is pretty poor. This is without taking the cost into account. It's just under 48.5 Chaos per map, which is definitely the lowest I've ever had for an out and go strategy that I've actually spent any time putting together. Cost per map is super cheap. We're using one Chaos Scarab, and that's it. The rest of the costs are chiseling, alking, and then scouring and alking the invitation to get the quantity that we want. So the total cost is cheap. It's 192.5 Chaos for 55 maps, so it is really cheap. But it does mean that the profit overall per map is 45 Chaos, which is not bad, but it is not good. Actually, I would say it is bad. I think every strategy I've done so far that's more straightforward than this is 50 to 60 Chaos per map. So the total profit comes out at 2,471 with a profit in Divines of 11. Now, the good thing about the strategy is all the stuff is going to be really easy to sell. The logbooks will sell super, super quick. You're going to use realistically these yourself, because if we go over to Tujan, we have lots and lots of currency to use with him, so it seems silly to sell the reroll currency. We should use them and you get a decent amount of currency. I haven't done it because it doesn't really have anything to do with the strategy. This is just what happens when you put Expedition into a strategy. So overall, I think it's okay. It gave an amount of profit that makes it worthwhile doing. At least it is profitable. But if you are someone who doesn't clear maps particularly quickly, it's not going to be a great return, because some of the maps can take a long time with Harvest, Expedition, and needing to kill the boss. So overall, it's not something I'd recommend doing. Like I said, it did break up the mapping strategies I've been doing, where you're just putting the same map in over and over again, doing the same mechanics. At least the invitations break up that flow, and then, every 9 or 10 maps you go in and you do slightly different content. It is just a shame that it isn't more profit, and that it essentially took 55 maps to get 1 Maven Writ. It just makes any other strategy more profitable, really, and it is a shame because I did enjoy doing it. I just don't think it's something I will carry on, knowing that I'm kind of really gimping myself in terms of profit by doing this one. I could be doing almost any other free strategy. You're going to make more currency, or I could be actually juicing my maps, going getting sextants, compasses, and making like double or triple the amount. So yeah, it's not something I recommend, but it is something I wanted to try. I've done it. I don't really want to do another round of invitations. We had one twisted invitation drop, but we have no idea whether that just would have dropped anyway because of the amount of bosses that are killed. Yeah, that's it for me on this one. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.